Today we are going to have a podcast with Fleming, the main director of We Swim, swimming club for people with different kind of disabilities. We are going to understand how it's going on inside the company, which trainings do you need to become a volunteer, and lots of other interesting stories. So don't forget to subscribe for our channel, and let's start. Okay, hello. Today we have
Hi.
Natasha from We Swim. Can you please give a brief introduction of yourself, what you're doing, what's your hobbies, who are you just?
Yeah, sure. Thanks very much for having me on. About a bit about We Swim. So we're a community disability swimming club set up just after COVID. And the main aim of what we're trying to achieve, so 21% of Londoners have a registered DDA disability, which is a huge percentage of people. And on top of that, people with disabilities have so many more challenges. So not only do they have to manage their condition, which might be, for example, painful or distracting, but on top of that, everything else around them is so much more difficult. So, for example, getting a job is much harder if you're disabled. There's really low levels of employment because employers have to make amendments for people, make allowances for people. So it just seems more difficult. So people just are less likely to be in a job. And that obviously impacts then their income. So they're less likely to have the same financial opportunities that other people have. Traveling is so much harder if you have a disability. So if you want to use the tube or buses, if you maybe have crutches or a mobility aid, everything is just much more difficult. So you have to, that short distance to the bus stop is just harder for you. And then when you get to the tube, are you able to get on or not?
Yeah, not all stations are accessible for people with different disabilities. So
Absolutely. So then the alternative is maybe getting taxis, but people can't afford that because they're less likely to have a higher income. So travel is much harder for people with disabilities. Also, like relationships can be harder. People, it's harder to make friends if you're not working or not getting out and about. So people are more likely to be lonely and isolated. They actually say that 50% of working age disabled people are chronically lonely. So we're trying to tackle that by having this community set up, community swimming, where we're bringing all sorts of people together to get them swimming together. And the benefits of water obviously are huge for anybody, all of us. So there's the physical support that the water gives you, that you can do exercises that you might not be able to do if you were on land. So maybe if you're a wheelchair user, it's much harder for you to walk. But you can do that in the pool using the side to support you and the water to support you. So the physical benefits that the water brings. There's also the mental health benefits of swimming. It's a really mindful exercise. You can do breathing exercises. We focus a lot on breathing so that people can have that sort of relaxation, working on their lungs.
If I'm not mistaken, the color of water, blue color, actually have a psychical effect on people, on their minds, to feel free, to feel calm, and everything like this.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that. That's a great one. There's also the achieving a skill, doing something new or getting better at something is a really good thing for all of us. The social side of going to a club is really beneficial. And obviously the fitness, like doing swimming is great for your fitness. It's a full body workout, and having a chance to do exercise means that, you're not only improving your physical health, but again, your mental health again. So, I go out for a run if my mental or physical health are a bit bad, but not everyone's able to do that. So swimming is something that's much more inclusive that everyone can do. And as I said, we do it as a group, as a community. So we're really getting that social benefit. I think London is such a beautiful place for its diversity. People come from all different places, all different backgrounds, different skills or interests. And we really try to sort of celebrate that by bringing different people from different communities with different disabilities together and enjoying the strength in that diversity. so that's really what We Swim are trying to do.
Yeah, and you know that actually doing sports for people with different disabilities is not a common thing among the society. Do you think this reason that not ability to get a job, maybe relationship, is play kind of role of reasons why people are afraid actually to go to such clubs to meet some new people because of these social barriers? Is it okay?
Yeah, I think you've absolutely hit it spot on. Yeah, it's everything is going to be more difficult if you've got those social barriers, and you don't want to have to ask. Like, I was speaking to one of our swimmers and she needs help getting out of her flat because there's a little lip at the bottom of her stairs that her wheelchair can't get over. And so, like, to get out of her flat, she needs help from someone. And you don't want to have to ask someone every time, can you please help me? And obviously people would be willing to help, but if you have to ask someone to help you do something 20 times a day, or, like, you know, to get a GP appointment, you just feel like you're asking, preying on people's kindness again and again and again. And I think that's, as someone that's quite independent myself, I think I would find that really difficult. So yeah, absolutely, the barriers that the environment puts on people makes everything so much more difficult.
Yeah, I hope that it will change soon from our education system, from such organization as We Swim. And I see that actually you're really passionate about this mission to help people with disabilities. Can you please tell when do you decide that you want to help people with disabilities? What was the reason that you were just thinking, yes, I want to help them with this?
Yeah, I started off my career thinking I wanted to work with animals, and I did a degree in animals, and I was a vet nurse for a while. And then I got a job working for the Mayor of London, actually, with animals. And but then a position came up at Guide Dogs for the Blind, which is obviously using animals, but working with people with disabilities. And that sort of really changed it for me. I realized that actually I wasn't interested so much in the dogs anymore, but it was the people side of it that really motivated me. And at the same time of doing that, I was also volunteering at a similar club called Pimlico Puffins, which is in Victoria. They're 40 years old disability community swimming club. And I was volunteering for them, and it sort of all fell together that actually the disability sector was where I felt my strengths lie. And yeah, haven't looked back since.
Yeah, how old were you at that point?
Oh, how old was I? There we go, you're testing me. Oh, I was in my 20s when I started volunteering at Puffins, I think.
Oh, so it's like when you were at university, yes?
After university.
After university. It's great that you found yourself so quickly after university, because sometimes it takes people for ages to understand what they're going to do with their life.
Yeah, and this is what I'm doing for now. Who knows if this will be it forever? I think having an open mind to change is a good thing. But I got into it through the volunteering. It's on a Monday night, and I used to go there every single Monday after work, and it was my whole world. I got so much out of volunteering for people. It wasn't so much about giving back to others, it's that I really felt that I benefited from that volunteering. It was wonderful to meet so many different types of people, and to feel like you're making a difference. So yeah, every single Monday I was there without fail.
Yes, that you can actually help them improve their life in a better way, and the sense that actually it's just because you were doing not something special, but the common things that usual people need to do just to help people who are in need for this one. And about volunteering, how many volunteers do you have actually at We Swim right now, approximately?
So at the moment, we've got about 40 volunteers. We ask our volunteers to come twice a month. We recognise that people have busy lives, and they've got work commitments and other things going on. So we ask them to come sort of every other week. But within that, sort of changes, because some people will come and they'll do 4 or 6 weeks back to back when they're around, and then they're off for a bit, and then they come back after a few months. So we have to be very flexible to get the most out of our volunteers. I think that's the way sort of modern volunteering is. It's not like it was in the old days. You've got to understand that people have lives and work around that to get get the most out of people.
Yeah, and to become a volunteer, actually, do you need to have any kind of special skills, maybe training programs, special education?
No, our volunteers come from a great variety of backgrounds. The main thing that I ask is that they've got the life skills that they want to help, and they want to speak to people on an individual basis. Because so much of what they do is just about talking to people, asking them what they want to do in the session, and not putting on them, right, this is what we're definitely going to do. It's about listening to that person's needs on that particular day. Someone may have done 40 lengths the week before, but then because their disability is affecting them a certain way today, they don't feel they can do that, and they just want to do some breathing exercises. So it's very much about listening to the person and working with them. I used to have a swimmer when I was at the other club who he had autism, or still has autism, and I used to just swim next to him. He was non-verbal, he didn't communicate, but just having somebody swimming next to him for an hour was what he wanted, and I got a sense that he got a huge amount out of that, and there was no communication between us at all. I just swam next to him, but I could tell that made a difference to his swim session. So that's really what I look for in volunteers, that they've got those sort of social skills that they can pick up on and see what someone wants out of a session. Our volunteers they're all young professionals. They're not all young, actually, they're a mixed age, but a lot of them are young working professionals, and they come from very different backgrounds. So some work in like law or marketing, but some are more medical background, so they might be physios, so they actually do this as their day job, and then they can do some physio exercises with people in the session. Or some people are doctors, or swim teachers we have as well. So some people do come with more relevant professional experience, but that's not essential, and they're not necessarily the best. It's the mixture that makes it beautiful.
Just like, for example, a person comes to the lesson and you need to explain it properly for him, how he needs to act, maybe hold him appropriately. I don't know, maybe some people have a mental condition not really stable, and some situation may happen. Who knows what's going to happen in a swimming pool. Some people are just afraid of water, as they didn't know about this for years, just because they have never tried it. And you need to know how to act, how to understand people. Are there any specific training for people to get such experience?
Yeah. So we do training for our volunteers. We do an induction, which is very much about the language that we use around our swimmers, about how we speak to them as a person, as an adult, and we do an in-pool training session where we show them different ways that they can support people in the water. We very much emphasize that it's about speaking with the person and them disclosing what they want to get out of their session or what their disability might be. So there may be many reasons why somebody uses a wheelchair, but it's up for that person to share whether they want to share why they're in a wheelchair. It's not necessarily our business. So we don't give volunteers somebody's full medical history. We'll just say, right, this person is a wheelchair user, they need help getting into the pool, and we'll give them training how to help that person getting into the water. It's very much around the social model of disability, which is about the environment is the problem, so to speak, rather than the swimmer or themselves or their disability. So it's how we can help that individual to use the environment, how we can make the session better for them, how we can help them to the pool or into the water. And it's not about, the opposite is the medical model of disability, which is like, this person is disabled because they have this disease or this disability. It's not about the medical condition that they have. It's about what help they need to do 2 lengths of front crawl, and what floats they might need. So that's very much what we teach our volunteers.
Yeah, that's great. providing such specific knowledge that maybe you'll never gain at university or something, only by practice. And about your guests, people who are going to this BSwim, I've seen that actually you have people from 18 to 90 years old who would like to try swimming lessons with you. Can you please define specific features of how to work with people in different ages, such a big gap between them, person in his 70s and person in his 18s?
Yeah, it's all humans, we're all different, aren't we? And I've looked at sort of our training for many years for how we can best prepare our volunteers to work with different people. And actually, in a way, the more you categorize people and the more you sort of break it down, the more you complicate it, and the less you're looking at the actual person. So actually, it comes back to being that person-centered, looking at that individual and seeing how you can help them, regardless of their age or their disability. We work with people with physical disabilities, but also learning disabilities and autism. There's a few more things that we're aware of with people, for example, with autism, that how to make the environment more comfortable for them, such as some people might not like loud noises or certain colours or certain language. But really, it's just about knowing that individual and seeing what will work for them.
That's great. I recently discovered Paralympics for myself. I've never heard about this actually, and I feel so ashamed for this one. And I know that a few weeks ago there were Paralympics, and have you seen it? Any results about it?
No, I'm not a great follower actually of swimming, either para swimming or non para swimming. In terms of us as a club, we're quite different to. There are certain clubs in London and around the country that work with athletes that are para athletes, but for us, we're about the community, and so I don't really. I'm afraid, embarrassed to say that I don't watch the professional swimming much. Much like I'm never going to be an Olympic swimmer myself. Our swimmers are not in that category either. It's about the community and the getting to know each other and fun. I'm much better versed on football and things like that, the social sports, than swimming. But it has been fantastic how the UK media does follow para sport, and I think that's really positive because it's great for young athletes to have role models and to see what levels people can take it to. One of our volunteers actually is a para climber himself, so we do have a para athlete amongst our team, but not on the swimming front.
Yeah, that's great. I also think that maybe in schools or any type of clubs, it's better to show people Paralympics athletes. It shows that there's an example. They were also afraid to do their first steps for example, any club like we swim, just by starting it and join it and decided to that actually, yeah, I want to do it as my profession. I want to become a professional. I want to break records, world records. And yeah, it's amazing how people in their age decided that they want to change their life in a better way and actually change it.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
Very inspirational. Lots of hours of hard work.
WeSwim. Can you please describe WeSwim in the next 5 years? How you imagine your club? Are there going to be any changes? Maybe you're going to open new clubs at any other places, other cities, countries? Who knows?
Yeah, I would love it to be a place where there's lots of community disability swimming clubs available. As it stands, there are a few in London, but not many. this kind of club set up for people. So absolutely, our ambition is to grow. Already we're planning our second club, which is going to be in Tottenham. So that's later this year, we're going to be opening that. And then hopefully going forwards, the year after, we'll open another club as well. Because if you're disabled, you shouldn't have to go all the way to Old Street if you don't live near there, just to
That's right, yeah.
go swimming. And maybe, you know, some of our swimmers have plans on a Tuesday night. So if there's only one night, you know, that's not accessible for people if there's only one session on one night. So the vision is to have more clubs. Obviously, we rely on the support of our volunteers to run those clubs. So we have a team of 3 fantastic volunteers that run the Old Street session. And they are supported by 40 volunteers underneath that swim with people on a one-to-one basis. So to open up more clubs across London, we will need to grow our team of volunteers, but there's fantastic people out there that are willing to give their time. So I feel very positive about that. Getting the word out to our swimmers is another challenge, because we target people that are lonely and isolated. It's harder to reach those people because they're not getting out and about. They don't come across a poster so easily because, you know, it's harder to leave their homes. It's harder to make friends, so they won't hear about it from their friends. So
yeah, about communication skills, engagement with other people to get some kind of positive energy, at least, for communication.
And in order to open up more clubs, we are going to rely heavily on funders to help us make that happen. Obviously, there are costs associated with hiring pools and things like that, getting the word out. So we do rely on the support of funders. But the funding that we get is greatly received because it does make such a huge difference to people's lives. I was speaking with one of my swimmers the other day. He hadn't been swimming in 15 years. He's got a lung condition, and apologies if you can hear the dog in the background. He's got a lung condition and hadn't swum in 15 years because he used oxygen. He carried around an oxygen tank with him in case his lung function dipped. And on the first session that he came with us, he had his oxygen pack with him and like a little oxygen meter. And he was too scared to go to a public session because you can't really take your oxygen tank with you. And what if something happened? Do you tell the lifeguard? So he basically just hadn't swum for 15 years. So he came along to us, and we were prepared and knew what to do in case he got into trouble. But actually his swim session went really well, and he's been swimming with us for a few months since. And he actually went on holiday for the first time in ages a couple of weeks ago. And there's a swimming pool on holiday, and he was able to swim in the mainstream swimming pool because he built up his stamina with us. And that's a fantastic outcome for us. Someone that wasn't able to access the water before that, just having a team of friendly faces who know you and there to support you mean the difference from you swimming when you're on holiday to not. So that's a great outcome for us.
That's great to hear that person is able to live his full life with his hobbies and with that great support from WeSwim and his surrounders. That's great. I really wish you good luck with WeSwim as a personal aims to achieve some goals, and hope to see more swim clubs around us, especially from WeSwim. And it was really nice to talk with you today. Thank you very much for your time.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.